At one point or another, pretty much all of us have fantasized about having some kind of superpower. Like maybe you want to sling webs, or maybe you want to be able to fly, or maybe you want to have super strength or super hearing or super eyesight or something like that. Now, these superpowers are really what we would call supernatural powers, powers that go beyond the natural gifts that every single person has and allow us to do things that would be extraordinary. Well, the scriptures in 3 different places explain some spiritual superpowers that God grants to people in certain situations. In 1 Corinthians 12, in Moroni chapter 10, and in Doctrine and Covenants 46, there's a list given of a number of spiritual gifts that allow us to do things that are somewhat extraordinary for a normal person. Now, some of these gifts are amazing things like healing or discernment, being able to understand what a person's thinking. But other of them are a little bit more mundane, things like the word of wisdom, which just means being wise, the spirit of learning, or the gift of knowing the difference of administrations. All of these gifts are given to people in the church so that they can have the powers that they need to have in order to carry out the work that God has given to them. Now, why does God give us spiritual gifts? For that, President George Buchanan had an insight. He said, if any of us are imperfect, it's our duty to pray for the gift that makes us perfect. Have I imperfections? I'm full of them. What's my duty? To pray to God to give me the gifts that will correct these imperfections. If I'm an angry man, it's my duty to pray for charity, which suffereth long and is kind. Am I an envious man? It's my duty to seek for charity, which envieth not. So with all the gifts of the gospel, they're intended for this purpose. And that's one of the neat things about spiritual gifts, is it's not like you just get bit by a radioactive spider and that's what you have. You can identify the weaknesses that you possess and then ask God to give you a gift that will compensate for that weakness. And the lists of gifts given in section 46 are all designed to make us better disciples, to make us better ministers, and to allow us to help more people out there. Now, this list, which is fairly comprehensive and given in section 46, isn't totally comprehensive. It doesn't contain every single spiritual gift that exists. For instance, Bruce R. McConkie said, spiritual gifts are endless in number and infinite in variety. Those listed in the revealed word are simply illustrations of the boundless outpouring of divine grace that a gracious God gives to those who love and serve him. There are a number of spiritual gifts not listed in the scriptures, but that you can pray and ask for. Pretty much any weakness you have, you can ask for a spiritual gift to allow you to compensate for it. In fact, a modern apostle, Marvin J. Ashton, listed a number of spiritual gifts that he felt weren't in the scriptures, but were just as genuine as spiritual gifts. He said the gift of asking, the gift of listening, the gift of hearing and using a still small voice, the gift of being able to weep, the gift of avoiding contention, the gift of being agreeable, the gift of avoiding vain repetition, the gift of seeking that which is righteous, the gift of not passing judgment, the gift of looking to God for guidance, the gift of being a disciple, the gift of caring for others, the gift of being able to ponder, the gift of offering prayer, the gift of bearing a mighty testimony, and the gift of receiving the Holy Ghost. We sometimes don't think of our ability to comfort and care for others as a superpower, but it's a spiritual superpower. It's a gift that God gives to us to allow us to be compassionate and kind to the people around us. And sometimes that really is an extraordinary gift.